What is going on, guys? You're watching Money, the musical vegan beast, and it's remake time. And for today, we're remaking those tutorial videos where I showed you guys how to change bike tires. And as you can see here, new setup, new cameras, better quality, better sound. So it should be an even better video because I got more information as well. And what actually prompted me to make this video is my own little situation. Honk honk squeeze squeeze. You can see it's not holding air, and I've inflated this a couple times and I couldn't find the puncture, at least not on the surface. So there might be some other internal issue. Maybe there's a puncture that didn't get sealed yet, or maybe it wasn't able to hold the sealant because I have self-sealing tubes. We're going to take care of that and I'm going to show you guys how it's done. But before we get into today's video, if you want to help your boy out, please consider subscribing to my channel, and a preemptive lickety-split to that like button would be greatly appreciated. As you guys may know, we're on the road to monetizing this channel, so any and every form of support that you guys are willing to throw me would be much obliged, much greatly appreciated. So if you want to see me pull that off, and more, be sure to stick around! Alright guys, I got the tools that we need for today. If it's like a really bad puncture, you're probably going to need a new tube altogether. And if you got no tread on the tire, you'll probably need a new tire. But let's just assume that it's a puncture that you can actually take care of without needing to change one of these or the tire. So we'll just keep this as a secondary thing that you might need. If you have an electric bike, you'll probably need a zip tie, a couple zip ties, and some kind of way to cut them off and replace them. I got this little, it's supposed to be a plastic cutter, something like that. I used it when I used to work in retail, but it actually makes it easier to just cut the zip ties compared to like scissors or anything like that. If you have an electric bike that has a motor, otherwise you won't need these if you just have a regular bike, so I'll just put them here for now. And of course, if it's only a puncture that can actually be taken care of without replacing the tire and or the tube, got some self-sealing, patches, or you can use just regular patches that are a little thicker but require rubber cement in order for you to seal them, as well as a scuffer. This comes with a scuffer. That way you can mark where you need to, put the patch on, and it helps with sealing purposes. But otherwise, as far as taking the wheel off, because you got to take the wheel off in most cases, you'll need a fixed wrench and some kind of pliers or adjustable wrench. That way you can actually unscrew the nuts that are on both sides of the axle. The axle is what holds the wheel, which holds the rim. And of course, in order for you to get the tire running, you're going to need a pump. So these are the main tools you'll need. I'm not going to show me fixing everything from this camera. I'll actually show it from this camera. That way you're getting the first person point of view of what I'm doing as far as fiddling with my hands and, just working everything on these wheels and whatnot. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, the first step in order for us to take the wheel off completely is to remove any nuts that are on the ends of the axle that hold the wheel. And I actually have these hitch nuts, which hold the hitch arms of my cargo trailer. So this gives me an extra step. So essentially what I got to do is remove these two. And luckily I don't need to have them on too tight. So it makes it a little easier to remove them. And of course you got to remove both from both sides, as one would figure. Yeah, this one always took a little more elbow grease. Whoops-a-daisy. There we go. These are removed. Now we can remove the nuts. And that's what she said.
That's what she said.
So in case you didn't know, this right here, this is a nut, and it needs to be removed. Unscrew, unscrew, unscrew. If I can't unscrew it, I guess we'll be screwed. There we go, one down, let's get the other one. Twice the nuts, twice the sensation.
Ah, come on. Two halves can't make a hole without a hole. Giggity, 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 giggity. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
Okay, this video's getting a little dirty, isn't it? I guess to make this video a little less dirty, let's insert an irrelevant meme.
Tacos! Hot tacos here! Ooh, are those tacos? You better believe they're tacos! I love tacos! Especially on a corn tortilla! Oh, I love tacos on a corn tortilla!
Second time in a row. Your boy's got butterfingers. Only the vegan kind, though. Actually, do they even sell vegan peanut butter? The Butterfingers? I don't know. I'd have to look into that. Well, that was an easy step. So this next step primarily focuses on anyone that owns an e-bike. The way that the axle is set up for an e-bike is a little different from a standard bike. Let's say my landlord's cruiser bike up here, for example. So for the rear wheel, it doesn't have to be lodged in. It can just come straight out, up and down. But for an e-bike, due to the way that the axle handles are situated, it has like a curvature right about here. I don't know if you can see it. Right about here. It's got a bit of a curvature, so you have to indent it in order for the axle to stay in place. Otherwise, it's going to rattle back and forth while riding, which makes for a bumpier experience, which is less pleasant. And basically, in order to get it out, you would have to unlodge it, and that's what the fixed wrench is for. And it looks like I kind of did that already for this side when I was taking the hitch nut off from the other side. And we'll check this side just to be sure, but to show for demonstration purposes, there we go, it's unlocked. And then to lock it, you just turn it clockwise. To unlock it, you turn it counterclockwise. This step primarily, like I said before, this is mainly for anyone that has an e-bike. All right, so now that we got this side unlodged, double check this side. There we go. If you have an e-bike, just make sure that you unlodge both sides. It won't completely unlodge if you just do it for one side. So then you should be able to just lift it out, just like that, as you can see. Now, before I get too ahead of myself, if you have an e-bike, you'll want to unplug the power source, the motor controller cable, which is this one right here. The problem for me, though, is that this cable is just kind of stuck. Like, it just... I've been pulling at this from the last time I had to change tires and whatnot. My case is kind of an exception, but if you're able to properly seat the wheel somewhere without it absolutely falling and leaving a mess like what happened last time, cue the clip. Whoops-a-daisy. Then you don't technically need to unplug it, but, you know, I would typically recommend that you unplug it if you remove the rear wheel so you can change the tire. But I kind of had to make an exception, so I digress.
But I digress.
So now if you want to remove the wheel, all you got to do is push down on the derailleur. That's what this setup is right here. The derailleur, that's what allows you to shift gears on the cassette, otherwise known as the freewheel. And it operates as a network with the crank and the chain. And all you got to do is just push down on it. Now, it looks like I'm pushing up, but that's because I have the bike vertical rather than horizontal upside down, like you might typically do it. But otherwise, you just push down a little bit, and then you might have to nudge it just a little bit in order to fully get it out. And there we go. Easy peasy, Japanesey. Okay, maybe I can do this. I'm not trusting that too much, but it'll suffice. Oh yeah, don't lose track of these. These washers are a little different from the normal ones on traditional bikes, because this little indent right here, this goes on the bracket. This allows the axle to stay in place as long as you turn the axle, like what I was demonstrating earlier. That's what allows it to stay in place. That way it's not just rattling all over the place. Then we just got to remove the valve cap. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And for this step, what I like to do is I like to release just enough pressure out of the tire via the valve. You hear like a crinkling sound. That basically means all the internal pressure from the tube inside the tire is being released out, which makes it easier to remove the tire without having to completely deflate the tube. And if we come up closely, you might be able to hear it. Yeah, I think you guys can hear that, right? You hear the crinkling, the uncrinkling. That's just a lot of that internal pressure being released, which makes it easier to remove the tire and the tube. And as far as changing tires, you don't have to completely remove the tire itself. You can remove it from one side of the rim, which is what I'm going to be doing. That way I can just remove the inner tube right out of the slot. So it basically saves time without having to do all those extra steps. Now, if you have to completely change the tire, yeah, you should just completely remove the tire. Now, there is another tool that you'll technically need to remove the tire, unless you're like me, you're a madman, you raw dog it with your hands, giggity. But otherwise, if you don't, you can use one of these. This is called a tire lever. And essentially what you would do is you would lodge it in order to pop the tire out from the rim. So then what you can do is slide it across, and just like that, you see it's being removed from the internal part of the rim, and this makes it a lot easier for the process. Again, you can just use your hands like me because, you know, it doesn't take much effort, but still, and you'll want to push the valve out from the valve slot. You gotta take it out of the hole. Am I right?
Okay, insert rod support A into slot B.
That's what.
If you say "that's what she said" one more time, I'm gonna pop you.
And then all you gotta do is just pull the tube and the tire out, but the tube is still, or the tire is still in the rim, as you can see, right? I just slid it over when I pulled it towards me. But otherwise, this other half of the tire, the opposite side, is still in the rim. So then all you gotta do, remove the tube, just like that. Done. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything inherently wrong with it. Oh, wait. Oh, there it is. Look at that. That was easy to find. So I found a puncture. I don't know if that's the only one, though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scuffer, which is right in here. I'm going to use this to mark it. That way I don't lose track of it. So I'll just kind of scrape it up a little bit. And don't worry, this isn't going to wreck your tube or anything. It'll still be fine. So yeah, we got some scuff marks on there. I'm going to inspect the rest of the tube, see if there's any others. And this is that whole sealant that's inside the tubes, because like I mentioned earlier, this is a self-sealing tube. So the sealant is in the tube itself. And whenever there's a puncture, it'll just send the sealant immediately to that puncture because it's getting sucked in by the air, you know, that's leaking out. So that's how that works. But basically that means there's another puncture here somewhere. And I found the puncture, it's right here. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like it completely worked. So I'm gonna put one of these self-sealing patches on here. But before I do that, you wanna clean the site. That way it doesn't interfere with your ability to keep the patch on. So I'll scuff it a little bit and we'll give it a wiper-roonski. Wiper, no wiping.
Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping.
Oh, here we go again.
Oh, man. Then we got our patch. No nicotine is in this patch. Sorry to disappoint you, vegan gains, or anyone that uses nicotine patches. So the first puncture, we're going to put one of these on here as neatly as possible. Okay, looks good. Then we'll put the next patch on the next one. And here's the other one, same thing. All right, both punctures are taken care of. So I'm just gonna do another inspection in case I missed any. Yeah, the next time that you guys need to get tubes for your tires, I definitely recommend getting the self-sealing ones because they don't hold air forever, but they do hold air long enough for you to get back home or to get to a bike mechanic or just anybody that can help patch up your bike, fix your tube, fix your whatever, you know. They do cost a little more than conventional tubes. These ones in particular, I got them for about 28 bucks, and your average fat tire, because that's what these are fat tires, 20x4s. They'll typically cost like about 20 bucks for a pair, but a pair of these as the self-sealing, about 10 bucks more, but they're definitely worth it. All right, I don't see any other issues. I don't see any other punctures, so I think we're good. So before I put this back on and re-inflate it, I'm going to check the inside of the rim and the tire itself to see if there's anything else sticking out. Because sometimes you'll find sharp debris that pinches the tube, and you know, you might find yourself inflating it, but it's not holding air, but you don't see a visible puncture on the tire itself. So we're going to double check that just to be sure, and we're not going to raw dog it with our hands this time. We're going to make sure that we protect our hands in case there's any glass or thorns or any sharp objects. So I'll do a quick sweep using my little faux feather duster. This isn't actually mine, it's my landlord's, but still I use it. No animals were harmed in the making of this thing. And we're just gonna do a brushy brush. Make sure that no stones are unturned, no wheels are unturned, pun intended. Yeah, your boy, he's always got puns. He's really good at it. Get it? Because, you know, wheel, bike. Yeah, anyway. Yep. So I pulled out a little thorn here. Alright, not a big deal. Only a small thorn in my side. I'm pretty sure I ran out of the but-ums clips. So if I insert any that aren't my own, you know, that's why. Yeah, I gotta make some more of those, don't I? Alright, so the tire itself looked perfectly fine. So now what I'm gonna do is put the tube back in the tire and then lodge the tire back in the rim. And then we just pump it up and see what happens. Gotta do it like Snoop Dogg, just gotta pump it up. Alright, there we go. The valve is back in the hole. And then we just push the tire back in the rim. See, this one you don't need the tire lever for. I mean, you could use the tire lever if you want, but again, I like to raw dog it with my hands. And there we go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's get you reinflated. And I'm free as a wheel now. Get it? Because freewheel. Alright, now all we gotta do is just pump it up. And always check the PSI rating of your tire, because it does vary from tire to tire. Typically, the thinner the tire, the higher the PSI. Essentially, that's pressure per square inch, and you want to maximize the PSI within the acceptable rating. So if it says maximum 20, I would recommend putting 20. It just makes your ride feel less bumpy, more smooth. And this electric pump that I got it off Amazon. And as you can see, the battery doesn't last all that long, but it doesn't take too long to get it pumped up either. So it's not that much of a concern. And you can charge it via USB cable, which is right here. Definitely gets the job done. It's pretty cheap, it's cost effective. So I recommend having one of these. And this one in particular, I like to keep this one on the go because you never know, accidents happen. And we're almost done and done. Nice. Very carefully. There we go. And that's how you inflate a tire. All right, next up, we're going to put the wheel back on. And this step is especially important. Essentially, you want to put it back on the same position that you took it off. So in this case, I want to make sure the disc rotor goes directly in the caliper, which is right here. And you also want to make sure that on this side, the chain is wrapped around the gear on the cassette that the gear setting that you had it on. And just a quick little wrap around right here, just like that. Let's see, another important step too is to make sure that these little washers that have the indent that's sticking out like here, you want that to face downward from the handles right here of the axle. That way, again, you keep the axle lodged in place once we get the wheel put back on. And once you get the brake lined up and the cassette lined up, all you gotta do is just push it back in. Oh yeah, quick rule of thumb, you wanna untighten something or remove it counterclockwise. You want to put it back on to tighten it clockwise. And just like that, the wheel is back on, and we're going to give it a quick test just to make sure that there's no scraping, the balance isn't off, anything like that. All right, I don't hear any scraping, and it's holding air this time, which is good. And yeah, that should about cover it. So you might be wondering, what about the front tire? Does that count too, or are there any special steps for that? And believe it or not, there aren't. So it's actually easier to change. As you can see, there's less parts. Like there's no cassette, there's no chain. And as far as removing the axle from the fork, you don't have to do that same like locking, unlocking maneuver with the fixed wrench that we were doing as far as what's exclusive to e-bikes. Especially ones that have a hub motor. We don't have to do that same principle with the front wheel because it's literally just the brackets that hold the axle. So all you gotta do is just remove the nuts, remove the washers, and it just comes right off. So basically, without having to unlock, lock, without the chain, without the cassette, none of that extra stuff. That's basically how you remove a front wheel. And in other words, if you can remove a back wheel like that, like what I showed you guys today, you can certainly remove that. So, there we go. Well, I would have taken my bike for a test run. As you can see, she's all ready to go. As is this little one right here. That's Lucy. Hi, Lucille. You saying hi to my audience? My subscribers and everybody that licks my videos? They do all that licky stuff like you do. You do the little licky kissies. Yes, you do. I know. Yeah, this poor girl. I think she's got to go poo-poo. I guess we're gonna have to venture the rain, huh? This is the part where I would insert the Family Guy meme, "It's gonna rain," but I'll probably still do it anyway.
Let's go live to Ollie Williams with the Black U Weather Report. Ollie?
It's raining sideways!
Sounds rough, Ollie. Do you have an umbrella?
Have one!
Where is it?
Inside out 2 miles away!
Is there anything we can do for you?
Bring me some soup!
What kind?
Choking!
But anyway, guys, that's going to be a wrap on today's video. And as you can see, she's all ready to go. That way, once it's no longer raining, we'll take her out for a joyride, see how she rides. And if I have any other dilemmas or anything that I need to fix for my bike, that'll prompt me to make another one of these how-to videos. So stay tuned for that. Or should I say, stick around, part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Anyway, that's going to be a wrap on today's video. If you found it useful, helpful, entertaining, anything like that, be sure to do a lickety-split to that like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. And while you're at it, ring that taco bell. That way you get notified the next time I upload. And of course, leave me some corn down in the comments. If you happen to see these feedback tabs for my videos or the videos of any of the vegan content creators that you guys like to watch and binge on a regular basis, just take a couple seconds, fill it out. I hear it's supposed to help with the algorithm, so we'd greatly appreciate that if you would. And if you guys need to reach out to me in private, you can do so by hitting me up at Mike the Musical Vegan Beast 69 420 666 at protonmail.com. And if you guys are interested, you can check out my new and improved Linktree. It's got a nice streamlined, clean, neat layout. Everything's easy to find. And of course, on that Linktree itself, there's free resources to help you and your family and friends go vegan. And if you want to help support your homeboy, show your appreciation in the form of moolah, you can do so by checking out my Cash App, or supporting me on Patreon, buying me some coffee, or you can use my affiliate link with Stash. And Stash is one of those mobile banks that allows you to invest in your retirement, invest in the stock market, all for a small subscription fee, free $20 stock, something like that. I don't know. And I don't know, you might find something else interesting over by my Linktree, so be sure to check it out sometime. And of course, a quick shout out to my regular subscribers and viewers, everybody that licks my videos, they corn the comments, they like and share, they do all that good stuff so I can keep making those vegan and algorithm gains. I love you guys, and I appreciate your continued support of my channel, and I'll see you next time. Take care.